Good Sunday evening, and thanks for joining us tonight at 5:30. I'm Brooke Buckner alongside meteorologist Simone Thomas, and we are running out of ways to say it's hot.
Yeah, if y'all can come up with any more creative ways
we'll
to say
take it.
it's hot, give us a text and let us know. That's really the big story. It's going to continue to be hot. We're in the middle of a heat wave right now, but it's not just us trying to beat the heat. A lot of our neighbors across the middle and deep south, and even just to our north, experiences some of that heat. You see a good chunk of the states of Missouri and Kansas full of extreme heat warnings. Those extreme heat warnings extend into portions of central Arkansas, while the remaining portions of the state are under that heat advisory, and that's what we see across a lot of the deep south this evening as well. These alerts in effect through 8 o'clock. We'll see more alerts tomorrow, but here's a look at those current heat indices. Feeling like 101 degrees in the capital city, Texarkana, with a feels like of 108. Down in Shreveport, Louisiana, feels like of 105 right now. Through the evening, unfortunately, not much relief to be felt when those alerts expire at 8. Heat indices still around the 100-degree mark overnight. As we approach the early morning hours, you see we'll still have those heat indices in the middle 80s. We'll talk more about the rest of the week and how soon you could try to expect some relief in your 7-day outlook.
All right, thank you, Simone. Tonight, we're learning more about last night's homicide in Pine Bluff, as police say the victim was a 14-year-old boy. The shooting took place just before 6 here on South Maple Street, and when officers got there, they found the boy laying unresponsive in a yard across the street. Tonight, Pine Bluff police are still looking for a suspect. We will, of course, update you when we learn more. And that shooting wasn't the only homicide in Pine Bluff over the weekend either, as police are still looking for this man on your screen, Michael King Jr. He's wanted for murder in the shooting on South Spruce Street on Friday. These homicide cases come just a few days after the department announced a 10% drop in crime so far this year. Up until this weekend, there hadn't been an adult homicide in more than 2 months and a juvenile one in more than 550 days. They've credited group violence intervention as a reason for the decrease, and the department will hold its second monthly PFAC meeting Tuesday night to address citywide concerns, including crime. Meanwhile, last night in Little Rock, community members joined law enforcement in the River Market to help keep kids safe after teenagers fired shots in the area the weekend prior. Those shots led to a lot of discussion and ultimately curfews being put into place throughout the city. Ryan Davis is a board member of the Freedom Fund. He says the group decided to step up after the curfew was announced by Mayor Frank Scott Jr. And he wants to talk to the youth to ask them what they think the city needs to prevent further acts of violence from happening.
The curfew is an opportunity for us as community members to intervene with children who are out here at times of night when children should not be out, and who might, having run afoul of the law, face some sort of criminal penalty. This is an informally formal way to start having conversations with youth about, what they feel like the city needs for them, and what recreation options they feel like the city could have to give children something constructive to do.
Even though last night's event was focused on the River Market, the Freedom Fund says they plan to go into other areas of the city where youth violence has taken place to try and have conversations and make a positive difference. It's been 6 months since President Trump was sworn in for a second term. He used the occasion to take to social media to call the U.S. the hottest nation in the world and to lobby the Washington Commanders to change their team name. CBS's Willie James Inman has more.
President Trump was active on social media on Sunday, the 6-month anniversary of his current term in office. The president referred to the United States as the hottest and most respected country anywhere in the world and called his presidency one of the most consequential periods of any president. Also on social media on Sunday, the president called for the Washington Commanders football team to change their name back to the Redskins, a term that has been criticized as racist by Native American groups. And in another post on Truth Social, President Trump claimed his poll numbers have risen since the Jeffrey Epstein hoax was exposed by the radical left Democrats. The post comes as the president faces growing pressure from lawmakers and many of his supporters to put forth information about Epstein, something he had promised to do during his campaign. Late Friday, the president sued Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal for at least $20 billion following the publishing of an article in the journal last week linking the president to Jeffrey Epstein. The story published Thursday contained alleged details of a risque birthday letter the president allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein in the early 2000s. The paper claims the note was signed by Trump and includes a sketch of a naked woman. The president insists he never wrote the note. In other political news Sunday, ICE acting director Todd Lyons appeared on Face the Nation to speak about the administration's ongoing immigration crackdown.
If your agents encounter anyone who is here illegally, irrespective of whether or not they have a criminal record, that person will be taken into custody.
If they're here in the United States illegally, yes, they will.
Those are called collateral arrests.
Correct.
Earlier this month, Congress approved legislation that more than tripled ICE's budget. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
President Trump has also ended a suicide prevention lifeline option specifically designed to support LGBTQ youth. The Press 3 option on the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline connected callers to counselors trained to help LGBTQ youth, and nearly 1.5 million people have used it since it started 3 years ago. Critics say the shutdown puts vulnerable young people at risk. If you or someone you know needs help, the 988 hotline is still available. You just won't be able to use the Press 3 option specified for LGBTQ help. Former Arkansas governor and U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabe, is speaking publicly against extremist violence in the occupied West Bank following a wave of attacks, including the torching of a church. He says he has called on Israeli authorities to aggressively investigate the murder of Palestinian-American Saif Mosalet, whose family said he was beaten to death by Israeli settlers. On Saturday, he visited the site where the attack happened to express his solidarity with people who just want to live in peace.
It's unacceptable to commit an act of sacrilege by desecrating a place that is supposed to be a place of worship. It is an act of terror, and it's a crime.
Huckabe also says he hopes officials will agree on a ceasefire in Gaza soon. Moving over to health now, where measles cases continue to rise across the country. As of July 15th, there have been around 1,300 confirmed cases this year in 40 states. It's the highest number in 30 years and has put the country under risk of losing its elimination status if cases associated with the outbreak continue to accumulate through January of next year. It's why experts say you should get the vaccine now before school starts this fall.
Make sure they're up to date on their vaccinations before heading into school is something to start thinking about now, so we're not caught at the last minute trying to get this all done. Our 4 to 6-year-olds, when they're first starting kindergarten or first grade, have a variety of vaccines that they need to be caught up on, so they're prepared to enter school in a healthy way and not have to miss school due to vaccine preventable illness.
There have been 8 cases reported in Arkansas this year, and according to the CDC, only 92.5% of kindergartners are vaccinated for the disease. Concerns are growing about the rise in West Nile virus cases across the country. So far this year, 50 cases of the mosquito-borne disease have been reported in at least 16 states. None are here in Arkansas, but there have been cases in neighboring states like Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Tennessee. About half of them are described as severe, and even though it's a common disease, a new CDC study finds only 1 in 4 providers can correctly diagnose the virus.
The key here is to use mosquito repellents with DEET or Picaridin. It's the same kind of advice we give you really for any mosquito-borne illness, for ticks. It's not really any different. And I think the key here is to be aware that there's even West Nile in your area.
Common symptoms of West Nile include fever, headache, body aches, and vomiting. In a small percentage of cases, symptoms can severely affect the nervous system. But in general, cases are mild and clear up in a few days to a week.